Well, hello, welcome back to Tale 3 Cabins. I was inspired by a picture on Facebook, and I'm sorry if I don't have the person who did this, but the gentleman who took this picture had a nice creative idea of a way of collecting leaves and increasing your bucket capacity. Now, leaves are not that heavy, so extending the bucket out this far is not that critical when it comes to weight. So I thought I would try and build this because, of course, in the fall I have leaves to pick up, and then in the spring I have the leaves that I didn't catch entirely in the fall or blew in from the woods. And typically I had tried using a bucket once in a while. I'll usually do that for just like a small cleanup area. Use the bucket and then dump it into the woods, or use the bucket and take it over to our burn pile. But I typically would use a tarp, rake the leaves onto a tarp, and a lot of times the tarp is blowing around and it's not sitting flat, and you only get so many leaves on it. Then I take and drag those leaves maybe 100 or a couple hundred feet, and while I'm dragging it, I'm losing leaves. They might be blowing off of the tarp if it's a little bit of a windy day, and it was always a little bit of a pain. So I thought, well, I would try to build this and see if it would help me out when it comes to raking leaves. Right now I have the base here. It's just the inside measurement, 53 inches across, and I'm just going to go with the 48 inches of the board. But I will need to make some sides, and I want them to be able to fold, so this will be able to be nice and compact, and I can store it probably under the overhang of my shed. I'll need to paint it to try to keep from water infiltrating it and moisture, and to make it last as long as I can. This is OSB board. Plywood would probably be better, but I've had this board sitting around. Actually, I just cleaned out my shed, and it was sitting on top of where our chicken coop is inside the shed. It's probably been there at least 15 years, and I thought, well, let's give it a try. I have this board. I have some other pieces of wood, some other scraps. So I'm going to try to assemble this, get some hinges, put some sides on this so we can contain all the leaves without them spilling out. Another thing I'll need to do is get a couple eye bolts, put some reinforcement pieces of wood on here, and eventually run a strap from my hooks over to the eye bolt just to help keep this loader extender in place. So let's get to it. try this one. This might just be, we'll see how this goes. We'll try it with some leaves on there. But I might need to put a little reinforcing board going all the way across. Maybe I'll eliminate these top two little braces and just put a board all the way down on the bottom. I didn't want to have too much of a gap when I'm raking leaves onto here, but we'll see what happens. We'll give it a test try. Let me get the other strap in. Wouldn't that be too tight? I think one key factor with the sides, they need to be snug when they're sliding into the loader bucket. So as you can see, they're snug on the top and into the curve of the loader bucket, and that will help prevent this extension from bouncing around and staying tight and not wanting to fly out. I think we're ready to do a test run on this. Unfortunately, the weather is not cooperating out there. It's raining right now. So we'll try on our flower beds tomorrow sometime. It's supposed to clear up a little bit. It's going to be some wet, soggy leaves, but we'll just give it a try and just see how well that works. The two straps seems to be just fine. I don't think they're really going to get in the way when you're raking leaves on here. They might bunch up down here towards the bottom, but I don't think that'll be too much of an issue. I really gave it a lot of force when I dumped the bucket just to see, and then when I raised it, so it should fold up nice. I should be able to slide it under the shed overhang when we're not using it, and it shouldn't take up too much room. And I'm not going to talk too much more because you're not going to be able to hear me the way it's coming down now. If your slides are a little loose and they do want to flop around, I do have a small little clamp on the left side, if you look at it, that you could use to fasten it against the loader bucket. Now, as I said before, I would typically use like a 5x7 tarp, and that tarp would be flopping around. If it was windy out, it would be flopping around, and sometimes it would just be a pain to use. Also, when you drag it over to the woods or to the burn pile, a lot of times the leaves are blowing off of it or falling off of it. So right now I can tell you that the capacity of the leaves being held here are more than what my tarp would normally hold. Alright, so now the first load didn't go too bad. It didn't come loose. Everything seems to be okay. I don't even know if I need to put any reinforcements in there at this time, the way it's working.
If I raise the loader up all the way in this position, all the leaves get nicely tucked up against the loader bucket itself and gives me more room to add more leaves. Here's what it looks like from the operator's point of view. I'll give it a couple good shakes just to see if it's going to come loose or come off. Let's just break this down. We'll take the ratchet straps off, hold it up, and show you how compact it is. I'm not going to put it in its resting place just yet because I got some leaves I need to take care of. I don't want to say it's heavy, but it's more of an awkward type of thing just because the size of it, it's got a little bit of weight to it, but it's not terrible.
All right, so that is going to do it for today. It wasn't too difficult to put together. I pretty much had most of the materials just laying around, scraps. I did have ratchet straps laying around. The only thing I really purchased were some high bolts from Amazon and the hinges. So altogether I had about $8 invested in this. I had some of the paint laying around, and it actually matches up pretty well with the tractor. So I might put a little bit of a reinforcement on the front edge eventually. We'll see how that plays out when it comes to raking more leaves. It's been kind of wet here, so I'd be looking forward to using this in the fall when the leaves are a little bit fresher and also a little drier. But that is going to do it for today. I appreciate everybody watching. I hope you enjoyed and subscribe to these videos. Click on that little bell when you want to know when a new one is coming out, and keep an eye on us. Take care, everybody.